Morning depression. It's a real phenomenon. 99% of the time, when I wake up in the morning, for the first 2 to 3 hours, I am depressed. I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this day? I'm so disoriented. What am I orienting myself towards now? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And the voices of the past, the voices of all the past voices that have entered my brain from people that are living in ignorance come into my brain and go, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you're not good enough if you don't do this, what are you doing? Oh my god, man. Sometimes, dude, it leads to passive suicidal ideation, mate. But, like, as the day goes on, I realize there's nothing to do. And that is okay. Because it's the truth. Yeah, that's okay, because it's the truth. There's this whole suffering within me, within so many people I see. It's the suffering of, what if I don't fulfill my potential? I've got all this talent and skill and, this creative energy. I could do so much with my life. And that puts a pressure on you. Instead of just opening up to life fully and kind of being open to what sparks this passion within you. Because you wake up in the morning, or I can just speak from my own experience, I wake up in the morning, for the first couple of hours or so, it's like, I'm thinking like, what have I got to do? I've got to do, and I'm not receptive to life. I'm not open and going, okay, new day, new energy in the air. I'm like blocking off that, and I got my blinders on, and it's like, okay, like I'm trying to like assert something onto life. Like, okay, what have I got to do? 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 And I'm like kind of thinking back to the past as well. Of like, okay, what are the goals that I've set for myself in the past? What am I working towards? Like, what's my life about? And it's like I'm closing off to life and focusing on like this story of me and my purpose, my pathway towards, okay, what's the next thing, but this is a kind of obviously miserable way of living. And so after the first couple hours of life, I loosen up a bit. I don't know like why it's in the morning. I don't know. It's like, I guess there's cortisol running through your body when you wake up. Lately I haven't really been getting the best sleep. But anyway, it's like, after a couple hours of being awake, I loosen up a bit, it's like, take that pressure off myself, And I realized that it's like, There's also so many factors at play, like the weather changes. The weather changes, and that's going to affect your mood, It's like today it's cloudy, it's rainy, ain't no blue sky about, ain't no sun in my face, you know what I mean? And it's like, but it's just like, you don't have to do anything, man. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, if you don't want to do anything, you don't have to do anything. You're not obligated to do anything. What else do I say, man? What else can I say? Well, get outside. Get outside. This is the other thing, You stay in your room, in your home. It's of course there are times when you need to be alone, but get out into the world and see people moving about. Because I think this really helps you see that all these thoughts you have in your head about not being enough and whatever, and it's like, I really got to fulfill my potential, I really got to make things happen, I really got to reach my goals, I got to stay on top of things. You can get in that loop of thinking like that and make yourself suffer. But if you go out into the real world and you just see people moving about, you start to see that it's like, I don't have to do anything. That like there's nothing really to attain. You just like sit down and watch people. No one is better or worse than anyone else. No one has anything more than anybody else. There's not really any way that you're gonna go and reach something. Like, everything is okay. You see, it's like this day and age that we are in, there is so much information, man. There is so much information about. There are so many voices that we are listening to. So many. And in one regard, this is a good thing, because it means that we're not getting trapped in one way of thinking, getting trapped in group think, because we have so many options, so many different philosophies, so many different ways of living. You know, you go on YouTube and it's like everybody's like, you know, there's people that's like, you know, hustle, you know, grind, keep working, you know, like write out your goals and pursue it every day, every single fucking moment. And then you got other people saying like, oh, you know, like forget about your purpose, live the simple life, you know, like forget about following your, you know, yeah, forget about your goals, just, you know, just exist, you know, just be present. That's where the happiness comes from. So you got lots of people saying these two sides of the extreme. So, you know, there's what am I trying to say? Like, I guess, like, you know, in the past, it's like maybe what you would have like a newspaper that you read, and maybe like some select books that you get from like a second-hand bookstore or something, you know, and it's like that's all you got, you know, and it's like you don't have access to all this information that we have access to now. So in one regard, that's good, because, you know, you're not being so overwhelmed by all these options. Like there's too many options today. It's like, oh, what about this? What about that? Blah, 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 blah. You know, in the day, you might just, you know, read the newspaper and read a couple of books that you got from a bookshop, and you like deepen in that. You ponder upon what you've read, and just like, yeah, like really deepen in that, and like kind of explore that, experiment with what you've read, what you've learned. But now it's like there's like so many options, or like dig in shallow holes, dig in like multiple hundreds of shallow holes rather than digging like one or two holes that go deep. And so we're just like kind of like just like being so like frenetic, just like going here, there, do. And it's like really difficult to know what to orient yourself towards. But here's what I've realized is all the advice that you are consuming, all the YouTube videos and the books of YouTubers and authors and whatever else that are giving you advice, giving you, you know, what to do, you know, this is how to think, this is how to live, you know, try this on for size, whatever. What I've come to realize is that all these people are really just giving that advice to themselves. The advice that they have for quote unquote you is just advice that works for them. It's advice that works for them. And the thing is that everybody's different. Everybody's wired differently. And so the advice that you consume, the advice that you get from YouTube videos and whatever else, it's not always going to suit you. It's not going to fit you 100%, you know? And sometimes I feel like we think that it's like, oh, I've got to like I've got to get this like correct 100%. But and we have this sense of should and shouldn't. It's like, oh, I should do this. Oh, and I shouldn't do that. But it's like, by whose standards? Like, who are you giving up your authority to? You know, it's like, oh, I should wake up early in the morning. I shouldn't have that slice of cake. Are you listening to yourself, though? And who is that self? Is there even a you that has a voice, or is it just all the voices of different people? So even my videos here, all the things I say, you see, because everything that I talk about here, it's really advice for myself. It's like I have to speak it out loud to hear it, because this is what I personally need in my life, right? Everything I kind of say is like a reminder to myself, like, okay, yeah, this is kind of what is good for me. It might not be good for you, you know? And again, there's nothing wrong with taking advice from other people, like take bits and pieces, but it's like when you turn that into a whole like a ideology, and it's like I have to stick to this, you know, I have to be like that, you know, then, you know, it's you know what I mean? So it's like, if you feel like guilty or shameful because of these things that you should or shouldn't do, you have to tune in with yourself and like really question, like, is this shame that I feel because I'm not doing something that deep down my authentic self knows I should be doing? Or am I feeling shame because I'm not doing what I think this other person thinks I shouldn't be doing, should be doing, or whatever? Does that make sense? So this video is a bit all over the place, it's a bit messy, but it's like when you explore all these different ways of thinking and living that people recommend, that people push, when you explore like different ends of the extreme and everything in between, then you realize that it's like none of them are like the correct way. There is no correct way. It's like, oh, I've got to like, you know, hustle, keep pushing, make shit happen. It's like, that's the way. And then there's the other thing, it's like, nah man, I'm just gonna sit down, meditate, give it all up. I don't need to do anything. It's not one or the other, man. It's like, just see, they're two ends of the extreme, and you just, I mean, this is obvious, man. Do I need to even state this, you know? But, you know, it wasn't obvious for me in the past. Sometimes I still get into this predicament of, it's like, oh yeah, what am I doing just sitting down? I should be like, you know, writing out my goals and really like trying to attain them and whatever. And then there are other times where it's like, oh, this is so futile. Nothing ever changes when I reach my goals and whatever. I'm just gonna, you know, get rid of all my possessions and just sit down and do nothing. But it's like, you know, life changes all the time, and it's like when you hold on to one end of the extreme, one philosophy, and you reify it into something that you have to like stick to, then that's what causes suffering, because life is so fluid. And you just do what the moment calls for, you know what I mean? So, see, there have been times in my life where I've put in so much hard work, and then times in my life where I'm just like sat doing nothing, right? And The suffering comes when I think that it has to be one or the other. Like, you know what I mean? Let go and let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? Like, play in life. Play. Just do what you think. Do what you think is the best thing. You don't have to stick to it. Try it on for size. Try it for a bit. Stay consistent with something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Keep being in tune with your desires, what you actually really want. So there are just some ideas. Please like and subscribe if you got some value from it. And come join our online community, The Truth Playground. Top link in the description. And I'll see you next time. Peace.